Hey everyone, it's Argonaut here from The Right Way, and another article, this one on Kiwi Blog by blogger David Farrar. Again, just about how out of touch our judges in New Zealand actually are. They're all typically bleeding heart left-wing liberals, and they kind of give out the very softest sentences ever, um, given guidance by a government which is all about giving the softest sentences ever because they don't want people to go into jail, because they made a promise to the New Zealand government that they would cut the prison population by 30%, not reduce crime by 30%, which would be actually awesome, but just cut the prison population by 30%. That means just not sending people to jail or letting people out of jail that are already there, and you can easily make that target, right? So let's have a look at this. What David Farrar writes: one sentence too harsh, one too light. I normally highlight sentences that I think are too light. In this case, I'm starting with one I regard as too harsh, even though it was murder. This is the case of Sherilyn Lawrence. So he's taken some excerpts out of the article, so that we don't need to read the whole article, but let's have a look at his excerpts here. A mother who murdered her terminally ill daughter has been jailed for 6.5 years. Sherilyn Lawrence, 49, was sentenced in the High Court at Napier on Friday after pleading guilty to a charge of murder in September. She acknowledged that Shivana was particularly vulnerable, but took into account her overall impression of the case, specifically the pressure she was under to care for Shivana, the emotional impact of her deteriorating condition, and the desire to end suffering, and the fact Lawrence posed little or no risk to the public. Gwynn said the pain of watching your daughter deteriorate over the last 13 years of her life is unimaginable. She acknowledged the professionals she dealt with often did not know how to care for Shivana. Lawrence had dedicated much of her life to ensure Shivana had a good life, and this meant she had to sacrifice a lot, the judge said. It's clear to me your personal circumstances would make life imprisonment manifestly unjust. And then David Farrar writes, the judge was right to find this as a case where life would be manifestly unjust. And I think I would actually agree with that. Life imprisonment for this type of murder or killing probably doesn't seem justified. Let's read the next bit. At just 16, Shivana had been diagnosed with juvenile Huntington's disease, a less common early onset form of Huntington's disease. The disease causes progressive degeneration of nerve cells in the brain, resulting in movement, cognitive, and psychiatric disorders. Shivana's condition deteriorated steadily over the years. She resided at care facilities until moving back home with her mother late last year. Shivana would often lash out at her mother and her caregivers. Lawrence struggled to cope. She became sleep deprived, and her mental health suffered. By mid-December, she became despondent. She cried the whole time and felt her daughter had no longer had any quality of life. So this really shows us the absolute atrocious state of the mental health system that's been put into the state over the years by both political parties, National and Labour. Labour has said that they're going to be the party of kindness. They said they were going to do something on mental health. They've been in power for about, 3, 4, 5 years now, and they've done F all to help people with mental health problems. The earlier Labour parties got rid of the mental health institutions where people like this could actually be cared for really well, and give people, their parents, a bit of respite from having to care from these sort of people. We need these types of facilities, right? Everything got moved into the community, but there were bad things happening at those mental health institutions on. That doesn't mean you get rid of them, you just reform them and make sure that things like that no longer happen again. And I'm sure we can do that these days with the technology we have with cameras and everything, that we can do that kind of stuff properly. In these circumstances, I think that 6 years is excessive. I'd even consider home. So basically, she got 6 years imprisonment, and I don't know when parole will kick in. I don't know whether home detention would be sufficient, in my view, for killing someone, even though she was at her wit's end. Maybe a year in prison with 6 months parole within 6 months or something might be a bit better. Yeah, so that's definitely 6 months seems a bit excessive. I would agree with David Farrar in that particular case. Let's go on to the next case, which is an absolute travesty and just shows you how soft these people are. So the judge is Judge Tony Greig. Tony Greig, you are an absolute bleeding heart liberal. You should be ashamed of yourself for giving such a sentence let's have a look at this particular case. So the man appeared before Judge Tony Greig this week on a representative charge of sexual violation. Judge Greig outlined how the offending started when the man was almost 14 and his sister was 11. He said the man sexually violated and raped his sister on a number of occasions. The judge said no sentence he could impose would undo the harm you have caused. He outlined how the man had no previous convictions, had not offended since, had entered guilty pleas, and showed true remorse. Well, of course, you can actually lie about those things and look like you're showing remorse, but who knows if you're actually really serious or not. Greig also took into account the sheltered childhood the man lived, with a lack of sexual education, and how when he got a computer he came across pornography. Anecdotally, pornography has led to a huge increase in sex offending in teenagers. That is anecdotally, you cannot take that into account. Nothing has been proven or anything like that, Judge. That is absolutely rubbish. He said you would only have to casually peruse pornographic sites to see that many portray non-consensual sex. It's a well-known problem, and as far as I'm aware, nothing is ever done to try and rectify it. Greig said he had to look at the man's moral culpability, and the seriousness must be viewed through the lens of you at the age of 14, 15 and 16. For that reason, he discharged the man without conviction and ordered he pay his sister $10,000. He's paying her blood money for the rape that he's caused. I'm sure his sister probably doesn't want the 10 grand. She would rather have not been raped by this person over 3 years' time. How can you discharge this absolute trash of a human being without conviction? My God, no one's going to ever know that he raped his sister for 3 years. That is absolutely incredible. Can you believe this idiotic judge? This bleeding heart left-wing liberal judge? I mean, that is absolutely disgusting. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. I mean, I'm just blown away. I'm so angry about this. A discharge with conviction for raping, even though you were 14, 15 and 16, to not get any kind of conviction, right? That is absolutely disgusting. He should have at least got a conviction on something, even if he wasn't sent to jail. In my opinion, he should have been sent to jail, or whatever it is that people who are within the age of 14, 15 and 16 actually get. But a discharge without a conviction, that's absolutely wrong in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I'd really love to know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, you're welcome to give it a thumbs down. If you're happy to share with any of your friends, either through YouTube or Facebook, that would be much appreciated as well. And if you like my content, please subscribe, as it just helps my content to be noticed by the YouTube algorithm. And hopefully I'll catch you in the next video.